Sorry, I just could not resist. I noticed that there were different viewpoints over here, and I just wanted to give you guys this opportunity to say what you think of the other's point of view. Because what we want here is to give a is to provide a solution to the problem. So the question is, how can we have how can we be united in against gender discrimination, especially in the LGBT, because that's the contentious issue over here, and I just could not pass up this opportunity to hear a discussion between the three of you.
Well, let me answer this. Let me answer this question. And so, we need to know what we're talking about. You know, we're talking about the person. And so I believe what the three of us answered had the same answer towards the person, to not discriminate the person. Now, where we differ is in what the person does. Okay? But in discrimination, I believe it talks about the person. And each and every one of us gave the same answer, saying that there should be no discrimination towards the person. That if it's equal opportunity, then yes, there should be. But if it's about what they do, in regards to, like you say, marriage, let's go back to what is marriage. Is marriage just a secular thing? Is it just something somebody does? Where did marriage come in the first place? And I see marriage basically comes from the Bible. And it's not just, as a church, we don't treat marriage as a contract between a man and a woman. We treat it based as a relationship born of God. So if we don't believe, I'm going to use you. If we don't believe in God, then how can we have come up with the same answer based on we don't believe on the same foundation? So definitely there's going to be something that's going to be a divide here. But the problem is, the question here is not what they do. The question is, as a person, should they be given equal rights? And that's yes. And we all agree on that. Now, what we're trying to go for the sake of discussion, we will not agree because basically what we're founded on is different. And so how can there be an agreement if there is, but yes, the agreement stance is every person, whatever their sexual orientation is, should be given equal opportunity and should not be discriminated.
All right. In the United States now, most states have sanctioned gay marriage. And within those states, the Catholic Church is fighting gay marriage, because it's against what the church stands for. That about human sexuality being practiced in marriage and the unitive and procreative dimension. So that's not present in a gay marriage. So the church cannot approve of a gay marriage, but the church accepts homosexuality. Transgender, lesbian people into their body openly. Now you look at some of the fights that have happened. You see many conservative Christians really condemning homosexuals, condemning lesbians, condemning transgender. But that is not the official position of the Catholic Church. There are conservative Christians that have done that, but that is not the position of the Catholic Church, as it has been expressed by Pope Francis. We accept the human dignity of all people, and so if a person is what they are, we have to accept that. But the activity is where there's problem of agreeing, I think.
The thing with us secularists is why we want gay marriages because, sure, the Bible may say that God defined marriage, but the thing is, you look at other religions and they have marriage in their books as well, which gives you quite a clue that nobody really owns a franchise on marriage. And as far as marriage goes, to exclude people from availing of it makes it a privilege. But if you look at our Constitution, is marriage a privilege or a right? It is a right, right? Left? And given that it is a right, it should not be denied of anyone, no matter what they are. I mean, if we're gonna go with science, there are 1,500 animal species that engage in homosexual activity. Homophobia only exists in one. So which one is unnatural then? Right? So that's the thing. We accept that. We don't want to engage in it, of course. Well, outside of the sexuals don't. I don't want to engage in it. But if people want to do it, then why not? So long as it's safe, so long as it's consensual, so long as it's a conscious choice. We're not here to treat it, like we said, we don't want to call it gay marriage anymore. We want to just call it marriage. Right? When a gay guy gets married, does he need, when a gay guy parks, does he gay park? Does he gay cook? Does he gay speak? No. Simply because you are all human and you should not be denied that human right.
Thank you. A round of applause for our speakers. All right, let's proceed to the next issue. Issue number 4. No one's saying it.
Issue number 4.
Thank you. Thank you. I see you right there. United versus corruption and poverty. Walang corrupt kung walang mahirap. Alright. Danielle's gonna read it. I can read it.
Okay. Corruption exists in our government, both in the local and national level. The guilty parties are influential and took the responsibility of taking care of public trust. First question, how can Philippine society mitigate corruption? Second, how do we best ensure that public officials will follow ethical standards, and what are these standards in the first place? That's not all though. Poverty is rampant in the Philippines. Question, how can it be alleviated? And what steps do members of your community take to reach this end? How about the institution itself?
We could start with anyone. Yes, please.
Allow me to go first. Okay, I've gone first twice already. I hope it doesn't seem like I'm hogging the spotlight.
It's okay.
Okay. First things first, about corruption. The way I see it, corruption still is ongoing because us Filipinos, majority of us, lack initiative. You see a cop and you get pulled over in traffic. You see a cop. I'm not pointing any fingers, but a lot of Filipinos would just try to pay off that cop, right? You see a long line to where you want to eat, where you want to get your documents or whatever. They try to find a way to circumvent through that line. The thing is, if we ourselves do not value order, if we ourselves do not value ethics, if we ourselves do not value the rule of law, then how can we ourselves question the actions of the politicians, the actions of our corrupt officials, right? It has to start with ourselves. And not just that. Whenever you see something like that, why not? You see a guy getting paid off and people stay silent. It's that bystander effect that what is one thing that we have to get rid of. You see someone getting paid off and you're like, corrupt. You condemn him in your mind, but again, you do nothing. how can we expect any change to happen if we just let things slide? Right? Because if you let things slide, then what? I like this quote. What you, how do they say that? It goes, yeah. What you let, what I know, yeah. What you tolerate will be the ones that still progress on, or what will happen. If you do not tolerate corruption, if you show zero tolerance for it, if you start really getting proactive against corruption, is just instead of just condemning them in your mind, then that's what's gonna change. Every one of us should be the change we want to happen in this society. As for the economy, as for the politicians, one thing we can do is, again, a united voice. Like this PDAF issue. One thing I have noticed among Filipinos is that we have a painfully short attention span. For speaking from experience, I once marched with Viralius for the ZTE NDN scandal. And I was met with disappointment because a week or two later, it was drowned out by the Haydenco scandal. You see, something that big of an issue should not have been surpassed by something so mundane as compared to it, because we are talking about our economy. We ourselves should say, whenever the media goes, oh, look, another toy, you say, no, we're not done with this yet. Let's resolve this first. We need to have our priorities straight. We need to have that focus, that determination to get things resolved. Not just because there's a new issue being sensationalized around us that we say, ooh, a new toy. No. We say, screw you, we're not done with this yet. Let's resolve this first. I'm not gonna stand here until we resolve this first. Right? That's how it should be. In choosing more ethical leaders, of course, we need to quit that the pakikisama mindset, or that utang ng loob mindset that I like this guy, I'm voting for him. Why? What has he done? No. I just like this guy. Right? Or, ooh, a celebrity. Idol ko yan, I'm gonna vote for that. Why? What can he do? I don't know, but I like his movie, so I'm voting for him. In general, we should stop that. We should stop, whenever we're looking for candidates, we should keep in mind what they can do. As for our economic standpoint, one thing we can do is, it's hard to say what we can do for our economy since I'm not an economist. But one thing we can do is preferably try and help. If you find our movement right now is working on empowering people, teaching them livelihood programs. Because one thing I learned about the free market is a bigger middle class means a better economy. That means people have more to spend. People have more to earn. There's more currency and resources going around. So whenever you can find something to empower people, instead of just spoon feeding them about what they need, as they say in the Bible, right? Teach a man to fish, and he will never go hungry again. And I like that. And that's one thing we should apply with our economy.
Thank you. That's right, Jan.
Yeah. You know, I think corruption as well as poverty is not much an action as it is a mindset. Because I know there could be people who are rich but still have a poverty mentality. What do you mean? You know, poverty mentality is something that you never have enough. And that's where I believe corruption comes from. It's the point that you never have enough. You're always wanting to get more. You have enough money, and then all of a sudden it's a mentality. It's something that so many people would try to change the fruit. We need to understand, so many people today in poverty and with corruption, they're going after the fruit. Let's say you have an apple tree, you keep taking out the fruit. It's apple again, you take it out. It's an apple again, let's deal with the apple. But as long as the tree is planted, guess what? What is it going to produce? Come on.
Apple.
Apples. So if that root root system is not changed, then it's always going to produce apples. If the mentality or the mindset of corruption and poverty is not changed, then we're always going to have the same fruit. So I believe what we need to do is we need to lay the axe at the root of the problem, in which is a change of mindset. And again, I will use the Bible in my answer for this. It's simple. It's something that every Bible school teacher teaches. Train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. And whether you believe the Bible or not, it's simple. It's a proven thing. If you train somebody a certain way, when they're old, they're going to stick with it. You know, so many people have a sense of entitlement. Well, I'm rich, therefore I can pay off the traffic cop for catching me. Well, I'm poor. If something happens to me, I deserve. You need to give me something. I knock on your window, you have to give me money. There's a sense of entitlement which comes with that. And that's where I believe as a society, we need to start at the very grassroots, lay the axe to the root. And it's not okay for people in the office to take home the paper or the ball pen. It's not your ball pen, it's not your paper. Well, the company has a lot anyway. If we change that mindset, then we change. It's not okay to plagiarize your thesis. It's not okay to go on the internet and just grab here and there and there and there, and then you have a report. It's not okay when you get caught to pay off the cop. It's not okay to go in line. It's not okay when you go to the LTO and it's a huge sign that says, do not go to middlemen, and yet you still do the same thing to avoid the 10-hour line. But people say, well, we have to do something because it's not right. It's like corrupt and all this. And so what do? You join with the corruption. And it's not. And I believe the best way, and I believe the only way that true change will happen in this nation if it comes from us. Every person. And it starts with the children. And as these children are being trained that it's not okay to do these things, that that parents should not let their kids beg on the street, that they should work and try to support their kids. You know, teach them how to fish. Don't just give them fish. You teach them how to fish. You don't go to a poverty area and say, here's rice so you could eat. You teach them how to plant the rice and how to make it sustainable. And it's not, the answer is not in the fruit. The answer is in the root. And so if we can deal with the root cause, and then I believe that true change will come to this nation. And as a church, true change in an individual, we believe it comes from a personal knowledge with Jesus Christ.
So you agree with Sir Christoph, livelihood programs instead of
Yeah,
alms?
we as a church, we actually believe. You know, there are times, like in Quezon City, there was a fire, January 1. And we went yesterday. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday. We went and we gave goods. And it's okay to do that. Jesus said, you'll always have the poor. There will always be people in need. But that's a temporary answer. That's a temporary solution for that. There should come a way to help, develop a way to help it be sustainable. And I believe that would be the best solution to that problem.
Thank you, Pastor Etienne. Reverend Father Pascual.
Well, the Catholic Church believes there are three types of sin. The original sin, which we're born with, which comes from the sin of Adam and Eve. Personal sin, where we sin against God. And then social sin, these structures in society. Now, where do they come from? They come from personal sins, which becomes interrelated and becomes structures in society, like corruption, injustice, pornography, the drug trade. I mean, it's there. And it dehumanizes us. So it's part of our society. How are we going to change it? Well, most people don't get involved in corruption as such, but they don't do anything to change it. We have to reach the point where we will not accept it, and we have to change it. But that has not happened in the Philippines. there are attempts now of different groups to avoid corruption, but still, it is not such a powerful force that it can change it. It's very difficult. In the Catholic Church, there have been very strong movements towards the poor. That has been called liberation theology. Theology is a critical reflection on God's revelation, but liberation theology begins with a commitment to the poor and the oppressed, and then comes a critical reflection on God's revelation. So throughout Latin America, this has been taking place, and this has also been taking place in the Philippines, real movements for social transformation. A movement towards the poor, becoming a church of the poor, a reality of the need to change the unjust social structures. So it's become aware that if we're going to change things, it has to come from two ways, from above and from below. So we need a conscientization and awareness so that those above will be aware of the situation of the poor. And once they are aware of it, then they can do something to change it. So here at the Ateneo de Manila, where I teach, we have, children of the elite families. But we try to get them to have an awareness of the poor by immersion programs, but spending three days with the poor and see how they live and what their situation is, so that when they go to work, they will be able to do something to change that situation. And then build up the poor so that they can attain what they desire. So many times the poor go nowhere. But if the poor are empowered, they can become change agents in society. So if change is going to come, it has to come in two ways, from above and from below.
Father Pascual, you said something about empowering the poor. Could you elaborate on that? How can the poor be empowered?
They can be empowered through education, through skills training, through being able to say something about the situation that they're in, not to be totally without power, but to be empowered. So in this past couple of years, we've had groups walking all the way from Mindanao, from Bukidnon, up to Manila to demand justice for the land that they've been deprived of, or justice for their situation. They're taking it into their hands and demanding justice. So that's what empowerment means. Okay? So if the poor is just apathetic and does nothing, they're gonna go nowhere. They're just stocked on. But if they become empowered, then they can ask for what they want.
Thank you, Father Pascual.
A round of applause for our speakers. All right.